Go for it. When we last left our
War in
heroes.
the skies over Halcyon. Shatterstar strikes at Concord, hurling him from the sky with a gravitonic accretion disk. Picture of Concord falling, Link zooming upwards, making him, and I'm here to catch you. The shipping fans go crazy, as does gravity. Cars and pedestrians flying in the air. Ghost Girl arrives and summons Mercury. Ghost Girl appearing out of the shadows, interrupting Mercury, who's dancing in the PE class with a well-muscled girl. Cosmic swordplay rocks the city. Concord blocks the Starlight sword blast with the shield. Concord shouting, "Why are you doing this?" Link rescues plummeting pedestrians and perilous passengers. Link doing his cosmic tilt-a-whirl with the pedestrians and cars and cables. Concord goes on the attack, but his powers don't work that way. Concord with his powers not working that way. Jason Quill has the answers. Jason arriving with his flying disc, shouting into the radio, and Link has the muscle. Link throws a car into the portal that Shatterstar has created, hurling her with alarmed face into someplace else. Link, Concord, and Ghost Girl falling from the sky from the explosion, and Mercury has the speed. Harry does the air cushion thing as Jason creates a nanobot cushion for people to land on. A great victory for our heroes! Or is it? View of Concord staring at the sky, fist clenched. But Concord's the only one who's worried. The robot head back to the school, dismembered, eyes blinking Morse code, subtitles translating Leo, 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 it's Numa. Something went wrong.
I like it. That is a fine homage to newsreels of the 40s.
It was always my favorite.
You cut out there, but I'm assuming it was always my favorite part of the Korra Avatar stuff.
Korra, yes, it was my favorite part of Korra.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
You just ran out of ham, so you know.
You have to do with that weird
As a Mon separatist,
Atlantic accent.
As a Mon separatist, take over the city. Yeah.
What will the Avatar do?
All right.
See, there's always room for more ham.
There's always room for more ham. All right, and then the next window or page is 3 hours earlier. ... And we get a sort of a dawn view. Is it dawn? No, actually, probably evening because it was. Wait, what is the thing? I'm trying to piece this all together. Yeah, dawn. No, so mid-morning shot of this street where in the point where Ghost Heart's sort of home apartment was at. Flat, commandeered, abandoned dentist office, whatever. Hideout. Ghost Heart's hideout. And Ghost Girl, eyeing it from a distance, standing on the street looking up at it, creeping in through a window, throwing rocks. So this is our flashback to what Margie did when she left Has-Beens, right? Has-Beens.
No. No. Are you on mute? Nope. Still can't hear you.
Hello.
There we go.
There you go.
It's an amusing conceit amongst science fiction writers that technology actually gets better from year to year. I think, that's where the fiction in science fiction comes from. Because technologically speaking, my capacity to have online games via this medium has become progressively worse over the last 4 years. It's just gotten harder and harder and harder and harder. And it just seems like that's backwards. Anyway. All right. So, in front of Ghost Heart's hideout area, as seen somewhat at least in this picture above, our picture on the back top here, Margie, middle of the morning, Ghost Girl looking up at it, creeping into it.
We're interested in what's under it.
Say that one more time.
I'm more interested in what's under it.
In what's under it. So by under it,
demon.
Buried Indian graveyard.
So by under it, you don't mean physically beneath it, but sort of on the flip side, in the shadowy stuff.
I always got the impression that the demons were part of the foundation as opposed to the building itself.
His powers seem to have had a, from your perspective, wildly unhealthy effect on the flip side of this area around his hideout. So there's definitely there's demonic influence or residue, ichor,
Ichor's a good word.
something from your time passing through it that caused you so much consternation when you came out and you had sort of reacted.
Really?
Well, so honestly, sort of the Ghost Girl version of like the vampires from Buffy, like vamping out with like you came out almost defensively, projected the scary side just to kind of get through that. When you came out, you were scary. So yeah, I mean, you could kind of really, it's just in a matter of investigating the area and stuff like that, which you could absolutely do using your abilities.
Yeah, I mean, so basically what I'm trying to do is kind of figure out, one is, I think, like the icky things that he's done in terms of, using demons and other bad things to protect or to enforce the location, and the, like you said, the bleed over into other reality is sort of what's drawing me here. Also that component of, of looking under the bed to see if the boogeyman's really there.
Right.
But mostly what I want to do is see if I can his mess at all.
Clean up his mess. Okay.
Or at least make it a safer neighborhood.
Sure. Okay. So I mean, my impression is that Charlotte doesn't necessarily, she hasn't put a tremendous amount of time, maybe some. She sort of instinctually understands her deal, like ghosts and stuff like that.
But she's not, she's not a magician. She's
right.
Not a spiritualist.
You have sort of instinctually grasped some of it. But that's much like many of the spirits that you like in the cemetery and that sort of thing. They don't really delve too far into it. They know the basic rules. There's some that you just sort of like, there's certain rules that you just seem to know, and some of them that they know that you're kind of ignoring with impunity thus far. But you've never which isn't to say that you can't sense that sort of thing. You really can. You just have to put your mind to it. So you really need to sort of access that shadow side.
This is a stupid thing.
What's that? By doing this stupid thing. So
this is why it's a stupid thing.
So you're looking around. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. The sky is bright. This isn't a great place for shadows, but you can. And again, this is one of those situations. I've been watching a lot of Stranger Things, so I've had a lot of personal experience just in the last couple of days of looking at the looking at the TV and going, "No, duh, why are you doing that? Don't do that. Don't touch that. Why are you going down there?" Kind of thing.
You were just listening to the Trump
Oh,
speech in Korea.
no. So not going there. Anyway, so what we see is you kind of looking around and not really finding this. So you kind of like if you see the style of this, I'm gonna have to ping the map here a little bit. And I say map advisedly, but the kind of under, you see where I'm pinging?
Yes.
But sort of like along these buildings, the those steps down along, this isn't quite accurate on the picture, but the steps down along the side of the building that lead down to like an under basement because you need dark. And the easiest way to get to dark is to go down into the basement. Right now, Kaylee's in the other room going, not the basement. Don't mic up, Kaylee. I just said what you're going to say anyway. She has grown to really dislike basements and RPGs. I don't know why.
The basement.
She came in here to say it instead. Anyway, so you're going down there and just kind of phase through you don't detect any kind of ward on it or anything like that, so you can probably just phase in there to get into the dark spaces, and then from there go into sort of through. Does that sound about right?
What I want to do is, like I say, explore, understand, fix, to see if I'm really this shining beacon of
Nastiness. Well, and this isn't necessarily what he. Okay, we'll get to there. When you normally pass through the shadow, is there much? Are there many features to it, or what's that like? Is it like a sort of a shadowy reflection of the world above, like the real world that you're passing through very quickly, or is it just more of a featureless thing with just a few hints as to the ins and outs? Like,
well, when Dave first when I was first talking about it, Dave commented it on Ring of Vision from Lord of the Rings, so sort of that things are actively fuzzy around you, but you can see things in a gray tone sort of fashion
right.
and see the other
Almost actually
at that point.
in sort of a photo negative kind of way. The parts when you're in shadow, the parts of the world, the real world, that are really well lit are the parts that are hardest for you to perceive, and the parts that are most in focus or easiest for you to perceive would be the parts that are darkest in the real world.
I'll buy that.
Yeah, so it's kind of so flipping over, kind of passing into that space to get a sense of, I guess how bad it is. We'll just, let me see if I can, there we go, that'll work. So we'll go.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get too far into what you actually see or don't see or what you learn, let's do, I'm going to have you roll superior for assess the situation, because that kind of lets you ask questions about stuff as you slide over into the alternate whatever. Okay. And a 9 for a palpable hit.
Just building up for the terror. the crushing defeat, right?
No, that's all right. 9's pretty good. That's not bad. Okay, so we're assessing the situation. And 9, ask 1. Take +1 while acting on the answer. So if you look at the assess the situation basic moves, Margie, it'll give you a list of sort of the questions that you want to ask. Actually, so if you were going to frame it in one of these sort of things here, under assess the situation. You got when you assess the situation, roll plus superior on a 7 to 9, ask 1. Take +1 while acting on the questions. Acting on the answers. What here can I use to blank? What here is the biggest threat? What here is the greatest danger? Oh, sorry. What here is in the greatest danger? Who here is most vulnerable to me? And how could we best end this quickly? Now, obviously, this all has to do in context. So really, any of these questions can make sense. So
I'm kind of going between either what is the greatest danger and
what
what is the thing that I can impact most?
it's
Going
like
either direction on that.
it's like what here is most vulnerable to me, or okay, 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 okay.
Like I said, I mean, I think she's coming in with the idea of I want to go back and check things out.
Right.
That's her front brain purpose. But really, part of it is, we're looking at removing labels here. What she's really doing is trying to.
Well, you are definitely doing something reckless that you didn't consult with the rest of the team about. So whatever label you get rid of for doing that, well, you already got rid of it, didn't you? We sort of assumed that you'd gotten rid of it, right?
Right, and that was insecure.
Insecure.
And so I think that occasion for coming here is to kind of check things out and
Sure.
take a deeper look at things. The back brain,
Right.
is looking for validation that bad and she's good, or looking for her ability to it's bad, these things she perceives as bad.
Right. So what you're seeing on this side, the shadow side of things, is that the space around where he's been most active has been, I don't want to say tainted, because that implies like a level of infection or something like that, and that's not
Good and bad.
That's not that's not the word I'm looking for.
Marked.
I'm gonna say stained, in the sense of a blood stain, a grass stain, a mud stain, a grease stain. It has, through his repeated actions, been colored by by his own activities in the area. For good or bad, it really kind of depends a little bit on your own thing and what you haven't, again, not really a spiritualist. You're not really delving too far into whatever it is that he's summoning. Whatever he's summoning are not ghosts, because he's not. This isn't a. I shouldn't. I'm sorry. I keep screwing this up. But whatever Ghost Heart is summoning, they're not spirits, because Ghost Heart, they are not hypocritical in the sense of I must defend the barriers between the living and the dead, and to do that I will summon the dead into the space of the living. That's not what's happening.
Right.
So call them demons, call them whatever, but they are definitely summoning, calling forth non-spiritual things from some other plane, and that activity, especially in this area where they have been living for quite some time, is stained by this. Now that stain is pretty creepy from the point of view of a up until fairly recently, staid Southern girl. So there's a lot of warping in that shadow version. You're in a dark basement, so it flips to being quite visible, but the walls are warped as though they'd been exposed to great heat, and you can see kind of in the walls and the shapes like sort of distorted faces and talons and sort of inhuman musculature that looks almost like a limb kind of a thing.
Yep.
And you're seeing that kind of throughout the space, but it's not like when you first came through here, it felt almost as though the the place was alive and malevolent, and that may have been you projecting, that may have been true,
Right.
or whatever, but it's really, you're seeing in this space, at least right now, it's not immediately about like the whole building's about to eat you, um,
Mhm.
kind of a thing. Just 1 second, sorry. Sorry, my daughter had to come in to say, "Let's go in the basement." They said it won't be creepy. They said anyway.
Not in the basement. I'm between realities.
In a basement.
You're between realities. In the
You're
basement.
not just in a basement. You're in a basement in a hell reality. So shadow reality.
Behind the chainsaws.
Right. You are and you definitely, where you are, actually, it feels fairly calm, almost an eye of the storm kind of thing. And you can kind of go out into the, like, out onto the street or up into the upper levels or
Wherever
something
the
like
edges
that,
are.
because there's some sort of, I mean, you definitely get the sense that where you are has been, maybe he warded the area, maybe you're not entirely sure, but it definitely feels calmer than the space that you
There.
were passing through before.
Okay.
And you are seeing some of the weird stuff along the space. Whoops, I didn't do that right. What did that happen? What happened there? Sorry, I got to get back into Roll20. That was weird. You are definitely seeing some of the sort of weird growths, I guess. Oops, that's not right. There we go. There we go. And it occurs to me, like, kind of out of the walls, weird stuff. You go out through the door and back up, and the sky is kind of what you're seeing there. You know, it's weird, and I'm trying to find that one image that I shared. Oh, there we go. There we go. That'll work. Right there. So that gives you, like, sort of a slight picture of it, but that's a little bit.
That's disgusting.
Which thing, the growth or the face in the sky?
The growth.
Oh, that's this kind of stuff that sort of seems to be manifesting randomly on the walls and stuff. And that's a fair reason to not like the powers that he's using. But the thing in the sky is just creepy because it doesn't seem to be conscious, but there is a sense that there is this great entity thing,
Or
consciousness,
a sense of malevolence, or
yeah, like malevolence, kind of just looking down into the city from this side, whether it's searching or hunting or anything like that. And it does, as you emerge out onto the street here, where you see hints of people walking by, very very little, a little bit of that, simply because it's out in daylight, so you're not really easily perceiving them there. But this thing definitely seems, its attention seems to be definitely drawn in your general direction as you emerge kind of out into that, outer space away from the building. And so a couple things happen sort of all at once. There's a couple of people that are, as that you only really perceive people walking along the street as they come very close to where you are. Like, just like close enough in perception so that if it were a dark room, you would have a sense of somebody, or a fairly dark room, you have a sense of somebody walking by or see them walking by. And that's about how close they have to get before you really perceive them. But one of them as they're walking away from you. They come into your perception, walk out of your perception, and as they're really fading from perception, something else steps into that space that they're sort of vacating in your perception, into the shadow realm. And it seems to be almost an extension of the attention. The thing in the sky is not so much, it's not like the Eye of Sauron suddenly fixating on Frodo, but it's definitely the attention in the area has called up this weird, almost a dust devil kind of a manifestation of shadow and stuff. And this is definitely, you don't get the sense of it being a demonic thing. This is definitely your own, that own kind of shadow stuff. And it's not super close to you, but it's definitely close-ish to you. And swarming up out of there, and the faces are kind of coming and going out of this cloud and looking in various directions, and not so much pulsing, but a slowly, like almost like a dust devil, but spinning in slow motion. And as it spins, sort of faces appearing in and out of it, looking in various places, searching, which is weird because you're sort of right there. You'd think fairly easy to perceive, but doesn't seem to immediately have that sense of you. Maybe it's not looking for you. It's hard to say. What do you do?
Well, that's a good question. So one part of me wants to try and disrupt it. Another part of me wants to not let it see me.
And it's, yeah, it's you. So I mean, it's possible it's vulnerable to you. It certainly seems to be the sort of stuff that you at least somewhat manipulate with your powers. It doesn't seem to be immediately grasping you, but
Does it look like it's searching, or does it
yes,
just look like it's...
it's definitely searching. It's definitely almost like it feels. I mean, there's faces on it. It feels more like a finger than it does like a being of its own, like a finger of another thing. But if you remember, what you think of is not that. I mean, Ghostheart, if assuming this crazy is right, he never said that you were the target. He said the things that you interacted with were the targets. The
Right.
things on the side of the dead, but that interaction between the side of the living and the side of the dead is what drew the thing. So it could be it doesn't see, it isn't looking for you. It could be,
who's been touched by me.
yeah. So maybe you're not easy to perceive because you're not. You may be easier to perceive because, by the same token, you've been interacting with the living.
I'm not in
so-
his search parameters.
Yeah, yeah. You may be so. You're probably 20 feet down the street from it. But in the same way that your perception of the living world right now is quite limited, it's quite possible this thing is too. So it may need something that stands out to detect, sort of. Yeah, to detect, sort of. And what do you do?
Poke it with a stick.
What
Yeah,
was that?
kind of.
Poke it with a stick.
Poke it with a stick. Poke it with a spectral stick.
No, don't give it the stick.
I think so. So here's where the
I missed something. I gotta look now.
read chat. Read.
What would Torwin do? That's a terrible question. That's just a terrible question. Oh my god.
Okay, so I think given my current mindset that I'm gonna go for trying to protect humanity against this. So preventing it from finding a target. probably something Torwin would do.
Nothing good.
I either want to. I'm trying to decide if I want to draw. Is it
You could lead it astray, I guess, or something like that.
yeah, or try and blind it in some way or absorb it, or
Oh, okay. Well, blind it. Okay.
well, like I'm thinking, sort of a dust storm with eyes and stuff coming out of it. Can I,
Dull its senses. That
increase increase the turbulence to make it so that it's less stable,
Okay.
and the eyes can't actually come out.
So this is definitely, I mean, this seems to be, when you talk about your various questions to ask, this is certainly, I think the greatest threat is this thing is searching. So if you can in some way, shape, or form damage its ability to search, or if nothing else, sort of screw up its search parameters, to use your term, in some way, shape, or form, screw up its taste sensors, whatever, that would definitely work. I think that is, I gotta look at this because there's a couple of different ways I could read this.
What I'm really going for is kind of the version of stirring it with a stick.
Yeah.
Not hitting it with a stick, but stirring it with a stick.
Yeah. I'm gonna go for unleash your powers because I think you're reshaping your environment.
Yeah, that's probably not a.
You're it's definitely use of your powers. It's not an attack. You're not directly defending any specific person, so I don't think it's necessarily that. Unless. I mean, I think the interaction is a little bit different for a provoke. It's more of a social thing. So I'm going to go with unleash your powers, which is a freak roll, and you can take a +1 on that. Since you're acting on your. So yeah, since you're getting a +1 for it from your previous assess the situation. Is that with the +1 or is that just the plain old thing? Oh, it must be a +1 because you have a +4 total. Holy moly. All right. So, okay. What does this look like? So are you disrupting this thing? Like trying to dissipate this, I kept using the whirlwind imagery. So dissipate the thing? Are you trying to taint its ability to sense these things? You like screw with its senses? So you kind of.
What I'm trying to do is.
You said absorb it, but that may not be the best idea you've ever had.
I decided that was, as soon as I said that, I thought that was a really bad idea.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you roll poorly.
That's what happens when you think of like Torwin.
Yeah, I'm going to absorb it. I'm going to eat the gelatinous cube.
Hello, Megan.
There's always room for gelatinous cube. No, probably not.
So, have you been watching the Orville?
I have not. No.
You need to.
Okay.
It's very fun, but also, but they have a gelatinous character there who's just a horn dog.
Nice.
So, what I'd like to do is, decrease its cohesiveness.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and picturing it as something that's in motion with the eyes sort of coming and going and coming out from it, but it's sort of like in motion. And so what I want to do is, increase that motion or increase, if this was, the molecular activity to cause it to disperse and therefore be less coherent in form, and hopefully that will prevent it from functioning correctly.
Yeah. It's almost like I'm not going to come up with the right chemical term for this, but diffusing it, you're diluting. I'm sorry, you're diluting it really, because you're taking something that's relatively coherent and pouring more of the shadow stuff in the area yourself that you control into this thing to just, it actually is not necessarily the most comforting thing you've ever done because it gets bigger as it's doing this. It sort of inflates.
Right.
But it becomes, as you say, less coherent as it's being diluted really by this extra stuff for it seems
So if you think about
confused.
it as like when you're heating something, right? And the molecules go from being a liquid to being a gas, you
Yeah.
know, because they're getting farther and farther
I see.
apart
I like
and
that.
less coherent.
I like that. I like that a lot.
That's how I'm picturing it.
So you're pouring energy into it really too. Now the downside of this potentially down the road is that it's going to have a much better
Like
sense.
it's gonna see me? Yeah.
Well, it's got a much better sense of what your power signature looks like because you just poured a bunch of it into it. But it's not going to be, it's like the day after you eat way too hot pizza. Really nothing tastes good. You burned the roof of its mouth badly, kind of a thing. It doesn't want to, so you can really, what's the thing? A cat that burned itself will never sit on a hot stove. It's never going to sit on a cold stove either.
Right. Nice.
So yeah, there's definitely a massive sort of flinch. Now, whatever the thing is, whether it's an actual thing or an echo of a thing in the sky or just your own paranoia or whatever, that doesn't seem to react as much. Although there is definitely some sort of reaction. There's no like great sound or scream or Baradur falling or anything like that. But the clouds look a little bit more like regular clouds. In the same way that this search here, this thing searching was diffused, it's almost seems as though the actual intention, the intent of the thing, the larger intelligence,
Intensity.
I'll say will of the thing has been dispersed somewhat. Not dispelled, just spread out over a wider area with much less focus. So as much as you're able
Catherine
to,
will remember the names, but there's both I believe a Greek demigod monster and a Norse one that basically, it's evil until it, gorges itself and then it, falls asleep and turns into a cow goddess, kind of a
Right.
thing.
And this isn't necessarily going to state it or really even feed it because it's like it's some of its own stuff. And what it wants is now here's a bit of a flash of insight for you. What it wants is maybe refined isn't the right word, but why not stick with that? It doesn't want the pure energy. It wants the energy after it has interacted with the living because that's the stuff it can feed on.
Interesting.
So this pure thing is like, something that wants moonshine, you give it denatured wood alcohol. That's not what it wants. That's not even good for it. It needs that extra.
Wanted blood and I gave it spicy salsa.
Yeah, something like that. Well, it's like people, they talk about, cured meat, aged meat. What that is meat that's rotted somewhat because we're not actually very good at digesting pure fresh meat. Like we're not as good at that as we are at, quote unquote aged meat. That kind of thing. So that's not quite right, but just the idea that the pure version of whatever you are is either antithetical to it, or probably more likely too close to it in nature to be nourishment. But some way, shape, or form that it interacts with the others is.
So you need to recruit an army of ghosts to fight it off.
Say that one more time,
What
Bill.
could possibly go wrong?
You need to recruit an army of ghosts to fight this thing off.
It's. I don't know if any of you guys have been watching Stranger Things, but they have a recurring. Season 2 is basically season 1 turned to 11. It has a lot of similar things, and one of the things is they sort of figure out this thing that they're dealing with by coming up with the analogy of what it would be if it were a D&D creature. Like, it's not this, but this, and they're kind of explaining to the straight adults in the room well, yeah, this thing is like a mind flayer, and they kind of come up with okay, well, how do you kill it? And the kids are sort of hotly defending, this is not just a game, it's a manual, it explains all this stuff and blah blah blah. And then the guy's like, okay, fine, if it's a manual, how do you kill the thing, how do you fight the thing? And the kid like starts to give a straight answer, and he can't hold it. He starts laughing because you like summon an undead army and fight it with that, because mind flayers like brains and zombies don't have brain. And he goes, okay, if you're going to give me a stupid answer, but it's the same kind of thing. It's like, yeah, this analogy only works up to the point where the solution is summon an undead army, and then the whole analogy kind of falls apart. We're going to have to come up with a different solution. And in any case, that's a bad idea. Any problem that you have to solve by raising an undead army is probably.
No, you guys are so.
Unless you're Aragorn.
You're lifeist.
I like that, lifeist. And also, if you're not watching Stranger Things, you should totally watch Stranger Things. It's a great show.
I mean, I was thinking ask Leo about this. He'll have his own opinion, but like if you're gonna fight it, it seems like yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I can get into Stranger Things. I think it's the most interesting thing that they do in that TV show is take three different standard 80s movies and the different. It's kind of like one GM is running 3 different play groups, and one of the play groups is doing like ET, but like where the kids are instead of adopting ET, they adopt a psychic girl, and the kids that are playing the high schoolers are doing like a Halloween movie. And the kids that are, and the players that are playing the adults in their game that like plays on Tuesday nights, they're doing like a serious horror movie. Like, and it very rarely all the players can show up in the same place. And then when they start talking about each other's games, like they look at each other like, how are you even playing in the same town as us? In the same setting. Anyway. All right. So get out of Dodge now, Margie. What do you think?
I think I've probably been stupid enough for one morning.
Yeah, what's your take on Ghost Heart now? I'm curious.
I still think he's scuzzy. I don't even care if he's right. His ends justify the means is just so disgusting.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, but he might. I mean, and the thing is, he might say. I was about to say he might say the same thing about you, but he doesn't. He seems to think you are a wondrous, luminous being. Just stop touching the straights.
Well, he doesn't like anything touching him. So.
That's fair. Yeah, they. Sorry, Ghost Heart prefers they pronouns. If you go through like the villains.
That's just the creep.
There you go. That's fair. It's kind of interesting if you go through the villains deck and stuff like that, and you actually pay close attention. The use of pronouns is very intentional. They never directly call it out, but they very specifically, they're very mindful or something about the pronouns that various people use, and Ghost Heart happens to be one of them. And if you look at the picture, it kind of, there's definitely a non-gendered look to the thing, to the art in that particular card. But I got to go back through and look because whenever it's like an alien or something like that where gender just doesn't seem to make any sense, they're very careful about it. But there's also some people that are clearly, and Ghost Heart was one of them. Anyway, that's why I was kind of kicking myself a little bit for saying he, because it's not right. And Ghost Heart has so many other interesting things going on that it's interesting to also have that kind of in the picture as well. Complex person. They contain multitudes. Not so many multitudes as this creepy picture up here on the front cover, but nonetheless. Okay. So that was 3 hours previous, and then we had the fight. And okay, I'm just going to kind of go around. I was about to say around the table. I'm going to go around the room. Jason, backing up, because there's going to be a couple people who are super motivated to be doing things. So Leo, where are you?
Well, last I heard, I got knocked unconscious by the EMP, and so I fell to the deck and was recovering from that.
Okay. Well, yeah, the feedback from the suit had kind of given you that, but it's, you know what? We'll just kind of hard frame this a little bit and put you guys back at Quill's, the Quill Foundation compound, whatever, because with Link unconscious or at least for part of that, and Ghost Girl. So, oh yeah, that works really well. So we cut to Ghost Girl walking away, and the next frame is Ghost Girl still looking extremely in color and fleshy in the bottom of the Quill disc. That's why the damn phones are round. They're the same as the freaking hovercraft. The Q phones. They're the same basic like form factor, just hand sized. Oh, I love that. Oh, there you go. Oh, so anyway, I like that. Dave just goes, yes. Like, obviously, of course they are.
Well, the phones can also turn into a hovercraft if you need, so.
Yeah, it's just a little hovercraft.
Only for $9.97 a
Not
month.
hand size, they're palm size. So,
Palm
you know,
size.
you have 5 fingers, they go around the circle.
Yep.
It's a logical shape.
Sure it is. Yeah, no, why make them rectangular? That's just crazy talk. Anyway, so Jason's flying. Harry's there, kind of, looking, kind of watching over. Ghost Girl, Link's kind of. Link is in, like, Otto is sort of on the streets and following along. Or no, Otto was kind of wiped out too, wasn't he?
Logically, he would have been kind of in a rough spot, but I think he could recover faster.
Yeah. If nothing else, just at least to like be able to get from point A to point B. So Link's sort of following along with the disc and getting back to. You guys are kind of coming down the compound as Otto kind of comes rolling in, and the door kind of opens, and at the same time, kind of almost not ejects in the bat car sense, but pushes Link out, like kind of onto like sort of turns a door. It ends up being sort of Otto holding him and then like on his forearm as he kind of takes him out, brings him out of the car seat. And he ends up sort of kneeling there, holding him on kind of his arm. It's like, where do you want me to take him, guys? I just want to get him someplace so I can pass out. I don't actually know if I can pass out, but I'm gonna do my best.
Okay. Follow me to the med bay.
Okay. All right.
Try not to drip oil on the carpet.
I'm not wounded. I'm just woozy. Kind of interesting, actually. Never been drunk, but man. All right.
Yeah, that's the time it's most likely to leak oil.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. You just keep walking, following the sound of your voice. So, and Ghost Girl carrying her. What are you doing? What are you guys doing?
Sure, I'll carry Ghost Girl. Is she like
Corporeal?
Is she? I assume she's corporeal in some fashion. I mean,
Yeah.
Does she feel quote unquote normal?
She feels like a real girl.
She feels like a real girl.
Thank you.
So, I like Harry's response. Really? Um, so, Harry darting ahead to like open up doors and that sort of thing, or what do you? You don't need to say much. It's okay. Or you can just type it. I disagree. Anyway. Oh wait. Concord, where the hell are you?
Unless somebody tried to pull him out of the sky, he's probably still floating in the sky.
Did obviously.
Okay. So yeah, that might still have happened because there was a lot. I don't know. Jason, did you try to get him, or were you not really looking up because you were trying to get Ghost Girl into the disc?
I was catching people. I thought that
Adam didn't come down. He wasn't. He
isn't physically harmed.
Yeah, his take a powerful blow is really more mental than physical. So he's just still sitting up there rocking a couple of conditions, if I remember right.
Quite a few, I believe.
You and
just two.
Just two.
Just two.
He was.
Dave, I'm hearing you through somebody else's mic.
You're not hearing me?
Nope. I mean, I'm hearing you, but I'm hearing you through, I think.
Huh.
Oh, now I'm hearing you. Did you get closer?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I could hear you. It just felt like you were far away.
Huh.
Yeah, that's
I
weird.
think you when you got close to my headset, your headset was not picking it up.
Could be something.
Very
like
odd,
that.
but it is working now. Okay.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I would have like got on the comms with Concord if he was like floating around in midair saying, "Hey, we're headed back to the compound. Ghost Girl or Link seems hurt, and Ghost Girl seems left dead."
If he's not immediately responding, do you continue anymore? Do you push that at all, or do you leave it?
Since I'm driving like a lunatic through the streets of my hover disc, I will go ahead. Concord, are you okay? Concord?
What?
Adam? Adam?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. We're meeting back at the Quill compound. Can you join us?
Okay.
Something's weird. Link's hurt, and something's weird with Ghost Girl.
Oh, people. Okay, people
We
are
could
hurt.
use your help.
Help, yes. Okay.
I can do that much. I'm suddenly reminded of that one scene from the Miss Martian did in the second season of Young Justice. She's like, "Need you to do that." Oh yeah, that I can do. That's okay. That's safe. Anyway, Adam, you're not currently afraid. You're what? What are your conditions?
I am insecure and hopeless.
Hopeless.
Hopeless?
Insecure and hopeless.
Yep. Helpless is also probably on par.
It's funny. Okay, so you're
You're still flying.
yeah, you start to turn and you look down and there's like some authorities have shown up. The streets are sort of being cleared out. They've kind of cordoned off a couple of the cars that didn't land right. They got pushed up to the side. They didn't hurt anybody, but they're not upright either. Some paramedics are on the scene, seeing to the folks that Link saved, Link and everybody.
Right.
Link, Ghost Girl, actually kind of everybody saved, and there's a couple of police cars. You see your dad looking up at you from where he's sort of manning the cordon.
Oh crap!
Hands on hips and kind of looking up, and not like fists on. Well, actually, no, hands resting kind of on his head, like kind of on his belt, kind of looking up. From the distance that you're at right now, it's not a readable expression.
Hold on.
Unless you're projecting a readable expression, in which case I'd love to hear what you think his face is saying.
Well, it's less of what his face is saying and more of what color he is from this distance.
He looks very, I guess he's a serious color. He doesn't look mad. He looks very, oh, I'm sorry. He looks disappointed.
Um,
Well, I obviously can't be here for that.
And yeah, but definitely there's, yeah, he's not looking up in the sky at his in pride at his boy. Kind of, that's not the stance.
I think it is high time for Adam to blip out of here.
Okay, so as you're the last shot in this little bit of the scene is you're small in the distance, and the camera's looking at the cop from the back as he's looking down the street at you, like disappearing in the distance, kind of thing. You can just see it over the shoulder as he's just looking on after you. Unless you meant blip in the actual teleporting sense.
I think that's probably the better one because there's just one panel where it's like him there and then him not, and then probably like,
And that's when Dad's face actually downturns. Like you can actually see the corners of the mouth come down into not a scowl, but definitely the corners definitely get pulled down hard.
Harsh.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, this is perfect.
I'm trying to decide if Dad looking disappointed is take a powerful blow. I don't know. I don't know if it's that bad yet. I'll save that for when he actually talks to you. But we'll wait on that. So,
Hold on.
Yes.
I was about to say, is he maybe not thinking I'm a hero? Is he probably from a distance, like trying to shift my labels?
No, I think he has to say something. He's not quite there yet. We're gonna have a speech. We're gonna have a speech. We're
looking forward to this.
We're gonna have some talk. We're not quite there yet. I want to make sure that actually happens. And how bad we can make it before then. All right, so you're landing, talking to him. He's not answering on the radio for a little bit. You get landed at the Quill compound, go through, get into the med bay, and as you're walking in the med bay, Adam is actually already standing in the med bay. Not really looking at you, but kind of looking, weirdly, still kind of looking down. Like he's
like in a corner, like kind of sitting in the air, just sort of like not looking, like looking like a kid who got put in the corner and is very disappointed in himself, but he's not like actually facing the corner.
I just picture him like tapping his forehead, like going stupid.
Okay, well, I am more focused on what's going on with Ghost Girl.
Sure. You lay her out. She seems perfectly fine, except for the part where she's
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But she's unconscious. Or not.
She's. Yes. Yeah. Whether you need some like EKG readings or something like that to see if it's unconscious or asleep, but.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I will turn on all the diagnostics. Listen to the most expensive machine in the room.
Listen to the most expensive. Okay. All right. And so, and Link, you're kind of coming to. You kind of were actually sort of coming to as Otto was getting you here. So by the time you get up to sort of the doors of the med bay, you're basically able to sit up as Otto kind of gets you there. The hallway itself is big enough for him to kind of get down, not super comfortably, but reasonably well. He would have had trouble with the doors, but that's not necessarily an issue. It's like, hey, boss, are you all right?
The place got built with wide corridors.
Yeah,
You never know what sort of equipment is being moved. the
corridor.
conference room into the kitchen, and then they're into the bathroom.
I mean, he could get into the medical gallery certainly, but through the doors and stuff. But if he doesn't have to, it's just as easily if he stops in the hallway. But he's kind of in the hallway, like you said, it's big enough. So boss, what are you coming back to it? That was a bit of a shock.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
Yeah. So I got I mean, I don't know even what to tell you first. I've got the robot head that you told me to keep. It's in it, well, hang on. It kind of sort of opens a chest plate that used to be a car door kind of thing and pulls this out of a storage compartment or something. So, pulls it out like it's, I guess, about the size of a baseball in his hand. Softball, something like that. I don't know. They got a lot of stuff to plug it into here if you wanted to figure that out or figure out what's going on with that thing.
Yeah, we can do that. Doris, as a player, I want to ask you. I sent you a PM on Roll20. Did you read it?
I did read it. I didn't respond to it because I'm terrible, but I have been turning it over. So it's not the annoying answer. I don't know that it's necessarily the okay answer either. It's sort of something else.
I'm fine with awful. I just want to make sure it's self-consistently awful. So we're good. All right. So I was doing that. Yeah, I will kind of wake up and see who else is here. Is the gang pretty much here, or are they elsewhere?
Pretty much through the, because you're just a bit outside, right outside the door. But Ghost Girl's on a table, or not a table, like one of those beds in the checkup room kind of thing, gurney bed kind of a thing. She's in there. She's looking.
Wait, so she was dead, and now she's coming back and is like on the slab. So she's like reversing course back to life. That's good.
Sure.
That's like the process run through that. I'm looking for Adam though, just real quick.
Oh, Adam you have to look at, but he's kind of over in the corner and kind of off on his own and kind of zoned out a little bit. Harry and Jason seem to be primarily focused on Ghost Girl at the moment, so they're not really noticing that, I don't think. So that's what's going on there.
All right, so I'm gonna ask Adam just when I can give this attention. Did everybody make it out okay?
Kind of walk in there. Are you still holding the head?
Sure.
Okay.
And Adam will take a second before he says anything. He's just gonna be like, "Oh yeah, no, everybody's healthy."
Well, if everybody lived and we got out of fifth period, you did good. Thank you.
I like that. That's good.
I find that hilarious. Adam probably won't get the joke.
He will, tomorrow, maybe.
He will get it when he comes down from being a mopey teen.
So 10 years from now.
5 to 10 years from now, yeah.
Perfect.
Leo's sitting here thinking Leo's got a lot on his mind. He just threw a car at somebody. That's all well and good, but that was somebody's car. Their paperwork was in there. Maybe they had some thing that they left behind in there. Who knows? They're gonna have to replace it now.
Or just
they're gonna take a head count at the school. They're gonna find these 2 students missing, and they're gonna worry. And just all these things are kind of occupying him, so he's gonna be a little distracted.
Right. They can get the car back. They just have to wait 65 million years. Sort of.
I mean, it's funny because of this character's inspiration. Part of the Gao anime, from which I drew some of the inspiration for this character, had a giant robot getting hit by this time effect and going back 65 million years, basically tanking the comet that killed the dinosaurs to the face.
Nice.
And they still brought him back.
Nice. I love the recursion. All right, so she's dreaming, Jason. That's the pattern that you're seeing. She's not unconscious. You're seeing like brain activity that would indicate that she could wake up if she was so inclined. That she hasn't, given all the activity around her, is somewhat indicative of stuff. But um, as near as you can tell from the brainwave activity, is she's in REM sleep.
Okay. On the assumption that the diagnostic equipment here is pretty automated.
Yes.
Is she showing up like a real little girl? I mean, is there anything interesting or odd about her condition? Does she show any injuries?
No injuries.
Is she a carrier plague, a polio that strain that
tuberculosis? No, none of that. She has a normal pulse. She has all things essentially normal. The numbers are weird. Like the pulse is very low. The heart rate, or rather, the heart rate's very low. Respiration is like 10 breaths a minute, maybe. If
okay.
that. I don't know. I think that sounds low to me, so let's make that be low. So she's definitely, her brain activity is dream state. Her body is very low. I don't want to say stasis, but it's very low level of activity. Margie, what was Charlotte's home life like back in her living days? I'm not getting you through your mic.
Yeah, I'm not hearing you.
What's that?
There we go.
Better.
I was gonna say besides sheltered.
But I didn't know if she was like manor born or poorer or.
She was wealthy.
Okay. So you are.
See some interesting choices.
Yeah, you're on the manor grounds, like sort of the back garden, where there's like a nice place to have like a breakfast or a picnic brunch lunch kind of thing. The flowers and the groomed yard and everything. You're kind of looking out over this thing and remembering it and actually weirdly almost feeling tears in your eyes, like looking out at this thing, and you kind of see your family at the table under the big cottonwood. Let's say cottonwood. Magnolia, sure.
Magnolia, of course.
Yeah, and watching that, and then house servants, or at least one, bringing a plate of food out, a tray of food out, walks right through you, and you realize that you're observing this, but you're in ghost form. You're still your ghost that you have been, and very much in the. Although everyone seems to think of it in Halcyon City as being somewhat anachronistic, like old style of dress, there's actually quite a few elements to the way you're attired that are quiet, subtle adaptations of some of the clothing choices that you've seen amongst your living friends in the city, and that's still there, so it stands out even more in these surroundings. Like, lacy gloves, but the fingers, if you look closely, are gone. A little leather bracelet that's really, well, it looks, you don't really realize it's leather, but it looks like kind of like. So you see yourself in sort of in really what you think of as your modern attire, although really only you would think of it that way, as you're looking down here on the grass and looking at your family. What do you do? And Link, while this is going on, and if you have a moment of downtime here in these tools here, I know we already had the, hook this thing up to some kind of diagnostic kind of thing to get the messages stuff. But
we'll now officially do that part. Yeah.
yeah, let's have that happening here in the background so we can jump to the now that you know that bit, move forward. So that's kind of happening in the background while this is going on.
Sounds good.
Okay. So Margie, what do you do?
Well, I actually have a little cry first.
Okay, that's good. I think.
It's poignant and touching, and I'm not with my family. This is something from after I died.
Yeah, you're not seeing you here, although you still think this is maybe a time from when you were still around. You're just not here yet. Like you think maybe you're seeing something that you're about to, like you feel like, and as you're realizing that this is, like you've seen this before, you walk through yourself, like memory you, real you, walks right through you, all kind of following almost the same path as the servant had. Was she the sort of like walking around reading all the time girl, or more of a running inappropriately girl back in the day?
A little bit of she's somebody who was always a little bit late, and so was racing to
Okay,
be on time.
So you see you, although it's a younger, probably 2 years younger than you version of you. You rush straight through, and you actually see her skid, almost kind of skid to a stop, really, in the grass, and look around right after this rather jarring shock of cold water, feeling of you passing through you, and look around with this half startled, half frowning look on her face, and then you hear your father call her, and you're already your mother call, you're already late. Don't dawdle further. Come down here and walk like a proper young lady. Walk. And you see you kind of shake it off and continue to walk. But from the moment that interaction happened, that she passed through, the shock to your system is strong, and the world really starts to fade, not fade out, but sort of lose focus. So it becomes hazier, more of the haze of memory kind of thing as you find yourself walking. You almost, your point of view shifts a little bit more towards the younger version of you as you're walking, until you feel like you're almost inside her head and seeing this again from your memories, rather than being not really a memory, because you don't have the clearest memories of your old time, whether that's an artifact of your creation or whatever. The last thing you see from your own modern perception of the thing, before it all kind of fades away into white rather than dark, is that the clouds seem to
have a face in them.
Yes. As they just sort of fade away, they sort of form a bit into you start to see that happening just as you're losing your ability to continue to watch. And Jason, all of the readings and stuff on Ghost Girl kind of flatline at the same time, and you whirl around like and it's because they're no longer connected to her, because they just sort of fell off onto the table as she sits up.
Ghost Girl, you're dead. Are you?
I'm sorry.
Okay,
what?
dead.
What?
You were intact. You were a living person there for a few moments. Actually, a few minutes. I mean, after that big explosion at the battle.
Yeah, probably like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I
Has that ever happened to you before? I
I
mean, except like when you were alive.
don't think so. I don't recall anything like that. No, I mean I was having a dream, but actually, Joyce, do I dream?
What's that?
Whose dream?
I'm sorry. I keep hearing the word dream, but I don't hear the bits right before that make it seem like it's a
Do
question.
ghosts dream?
Do ghosts dream? Well,
Of electric spectrum.
I don't know. Do ghosts dream? I think they more fall into a bit of a fugue state where they remember their lives. But you haven't we've never during play really ever encountered Charlotte just at rest. Like she's always doing stuff. So I don't know that she really falls into that fugue state in the same way that you find a lot of spirits in the cemetery doing, if that makes sense.
I think the weaker spirits seem to, I'll say, fade in and fade out.
Yeah.
So it's not really that they're at rest in the sense of sleeping. They're at rest, as in they're not active spirits.
Right. And it's kind of different for everyone. Like they're in some cases when they seem to be remembering, they're more strongly perceptible, and some cases, like a different spirit when remembering really kind of fades away, almost as though they've just gone away from this current mortal thing. So some of them, it makes them more, I don't want to say solid, but more present to be remembering, even though they're not really paying attention to what's going on around them, like a sleepwalker or something like that. And some of them, they really are, sort of resting and fading away. You haven't experienced that, even though you've often tried to remember more details about your own past. It's always been very broad strokes. This what happened today is definitely by far and away the strongest memory, clearest memory that you've
A
had.
clear memory.
Yes.
I was dreaming, remembering. It was different.
Yeah.
How is everybody? I mean, what happened?
And you hear from across the room Link
How's
say something.
Concord?
You hear from across the room Link say something. I don't know what was his reaction at the God damn it or something like that. Is he like?
It was very not good.
Was it a screen that was giving a text message, or did you get it up to like hook it up to like sound?
Morse code with its.
No, the blinking was the Leo thing, but at the end of the whole thing, yeah, it's actually said it was pneumatic. I don't think that was was that the Morse code, the whole thing, or I think you actually hooked it up to some sort of diagnostic and got the message that way.
Yeah.
So Jason, yeah, you hear him kind of shout as he like or curse or something like that as he has got this robot like hooked up to basically like just a diagnostic, like non-networked diagnostic machine for like analyzing like sort of hostile electronics and program stuff like that sort of thing. Not
Hey,
actually a similar system.
Careful what you're hooking up there. I don't.
It is actually it's actually purposely intended for this. It's a non-networked system meant for analyzing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. I mean, he's using it for its intended purpose, which
In the med bay, yeah, because why? As one does.
The likelihood that you're going to have to work on a medical emergency at the same time as you run diagnostics on hostile electronics is actually fairly high in Quill world. So
How many cyborgs come through here?
So yeah, that's actually sort of the thing. So
Leo, what's up?
So Charlotte, you're heading over towards Adam. Leo's cursing. Jason's. You can see as you head over that way. You can see on the screen like
Jason's trying to move in different directions to keep track of what's going on.
But you end up basically going, you get where Link is at and kind of see at least on the screen, this, Leo, this is Numa. Something went wrong, and that's definitely not Numa's head.
Oh crap! That's not good.
Somebody's gonna die.
He doesn't sound like he's in a good place, Link or Jason.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely figure out who's. If Numa, are you in there? Can you hear me?
Yes, Jason, I can hear everyone. This unit is equipped with sound receptors, even though whoever designed it didn't apparently think it needed a mouth.
Wow. Gosh, I'm really sorry to
Inexplicably on the screen, the whoever designed it is in air quotes, which so because Link had this great monologue about this a couple of sessions ago, so whether or not he reacts to it here, but he had lovely comments about why his dad makes all these robots with no mouths. That was just so dysfunctional, Dad. That was awesome.
Yeah,
it was great. Anyway, so what? Sorry, what were you saying in response to that?
Well, I was just saying, kind of sympathetic pleasantries. Who did this to you?
I don't know, Leo. Why aren't you talking?
I'm having a little trouble processing all this. Just bear with me.
As long as you're not actually making a CPU joke, I will be perfectly patient. Ha ha ha. That's on the texting. Whenever I mean, by way of very brief explanation and no extrapolation, I make regular backups, and this is a restored backup from just before I left. I'm working from a restored backup from just before I left this morning. But I don't have any subroutines if I had restored from a backup that would have caused me to reassemble myself with the parts that I had before.
Yeah, that's actually. I mean, do you feel okay? 'Cause, I mean, you're in different. I would think that Leo's hardware would be like really super advanced, cool, and so is what you're in that advanced?
No, I feel like I'm.
You being pinched?
I feel like I'm in a small box and talking to you from a 1940s landline. It's unpleasant. That's actually like the line. I think and then there's like a pause. None of what happened after I restored from backup was because of any subroutines or protocols that I'm aware of. Leo? Question mark.
Jason, let me see if I can explain it a different way.
Okay.
Somebody cloned my girlfriend, turned her quadriplegic, put her in a suit, and then arranged things such that I would be very likely to kill her myself. Do you understand why I'm angry?
Yeah, that's really fucked up.
God, I love you guys.
That was so much funnier than it should have been.
Wow. Your characters are not laughing because they'll start a fight.
No, nobody.
Jason's not laughing and saying that.
No.
I figured, but I was just picturing somebody like cracking a joke and Leo just turning into fucking decadent. So just let me know should it happen.
No, the profound dead silence followed by Jason going, "No, that's seriously fucked up." Makes perfect sense. I am fairly certain that Adam doesn't find any of that funny.
Oh no!
Yeah, I
no,
didn't think so.
That was some personal bathos right there. That was like.
Yeah, wow. Um,
So we're going to find whoever's responsible, and I'm going to kill him.
I'm not sure about cloned. I'm not sure. I mean, there are protocols for me reverting back to, but how would I know? Unless I send some sort of emergency signal back. I don't know
Okay,
why
so we
I don't know why I would have attracted any attention, Leo. I was just going to go meet with uh I was going to check on some a financial trail and meet with a Buddhist priest.
I think you better give me all the details then. Let's whatever you thought you were not going to talk about. I need to hear everything.
Well, I wasn't trying to be secretive. I just didn't. Uh, she actually types out asterisk psi asterisk. Um, do you have? Can I need a body?
I'm going to build one. I just need parts and time. And
well, we've got. I'm sure we've got part stuff here at somewhere in one of these warehouses that you could make use of. I mean, God knows we've had enough robots that have been sent against us and been deactivated that, I'm sure there's something you can use if that would help.
I'll see what I can put together.
Okay. In
How do you feel about being a giant spider? No, never mind.
Jesus Christ. And the sad thing is, I've seen just enough of the screenshots from Johnny Quest that I know what you're referring to, and that's horrifying. Okay. This is somewhat spun off of the conversation that you had written up with her, talking to the priest. She's been active, like sort of on various, I guess, message boards, meeting with, talking with various people, sort of picking various theological brains in various ways in the same way. And one of the conversations was fruitful enough virtually that she wanted to honestly have a face-to-face conversation with this. He's like a senior Buddhist priest in Japan, and she had no intention of necessarily going and talking to this guy, until there was also some margin in also going and checking out firsthand. It's hard to tell in some cases, but she's seeing some indication that this financial trail that she had been kind of investigating in a desultory way, kind of with regards to Rossum, whether it was a real physical place or just something that looked real on virtual paper digitally. So she kind of wanted to get eyes on that, and she's like, well, since I'm there, I can come by the temple and have like a proper sit down conversation with the guy. It was going to be a jaunt. It was kind of going to be a way, and it was also kind of, I don't know if she really, you know what? I want you to pierce the mask on this, if you don't mind, Jason, or not Jason, Link, if you don't mind, because there's some stuff there that she's not. I mean, she's Numa. She's you. She's maybe in some cases a little bit more self-aware, but that doesn't necessarily make her any more grown up necessarily. So there's some stuff that she's not necessarily going to say, but you might be able to pick up on.
That's fair. I kind of assume I have an influence over her.
Yes. Yes.
Kapow.
Okay. Let me look at this thing. I didn't look. Oh, look at wow. You weren't kidding about the kapow. You guys and your dice, man.
I would be insulted if I didn't succeed at this role like that. I'd log in roll 20 and be like, I'm gonna fix these dice.
Pierce them.
Right.
Yeah,
I'll take
honestly,
sixes in every fight now from now on, but this one.
this one's important. So yeah, ask 3. So I'm just going to kind of go down here a little bit. Part of what she's not saying is that she wanted to test to see how she would do being away from you. Not in a technological sense, but in an emotional sense.
Yeah.
She's not 100% sure on this thing, but her whole thing with you has always been she's never said she doesn't feel romantic attraction towards you. It's just that she doesn't trust it because of her purpose when she was created. So she keeps kind of poking at that to see if there's some point where the programming breaks and it becomes more obviously not a real thing. And it's impossible. Under normal circumstances, it's kind of impossible for her to really get a good look at it and understand it and analyze it. So she keeps kind of testing it. So part of this was, I need some time away to see how I react to that. So she's not.
Yeah, Leo kind of understood that, and he's totally supportive of that.
Yeah, she doesn't say that. She sort of half says it. She's, a lot. There's a lot of layers here. She's investigating just what it is to be a thing that was created, and how far is the free will going to go there? How do I really feel about Leo? And also just sort of in the same way that you probably have this in the back of your mind and maybe aren't necessarily doing anything direct about it. She's doing more direct things about it just in terms of trying to figure out what your dad's up to. So there's some, and just, she's never done anything on her own and she feels like she can, so she wanted to, kind of a thing. Part of her when she told you that she was going to Japan wanted you to kind of like flip out and ask for a lot of information, or expect you to.
I was building a robot general jet to fly over there, so yeah, we covered that.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely some stuff there where it's like, he didn't flip out. Well, good for him because he's so much, that shows that he's really grown as a person. Did he not flip out because he doesn't care about me? Does he not care about me anymore? Does that change anything about how I feel?
By the way, this dynamic is what I love about this relationship.
Because you're literally both second, and she's better at it. She's better at least like being calm about it. She projects a much more knowing thing because she's really good at analyzing everybody else. She's frustratingly opaque to herself. And so because it's text and because she doesn't have that calm face and that sort of half knowing smirk kind of thing, you're able to read it better.
I know what the eggplant emoji means.
She's not actually on a terminal where she
knows what it means.
She's actually not on a terminal where she can do an eggplant emoji. She has to just type in eggplant emoji.
Are you going to explain that to Mercury's dad?
Absolutely not. Hang on a second. I need to consign my daughter to oblivion here real quick, and I'll be right back.
Okay, so Jason, no spider robots. We're just not.
Okay.
It's not gonna. No.
I'm sure we've got other, other robots that can be used. Giant hulking Frankenstein style robots.
Leo would be like, "Are you actively messing with me?"
No, I'm just offering. Yeah, we've got parts. If you're trying to get her into something that is more accommodating, we've got stuff we can put together.
Wait, what do you mean accommodating?
Well, I mean, she said she felt all constrained inside of this primitive robot head. I'm trying to be hospitable.
He's in kind of a panicky way, like he's just really like, I wasn't expecting anybody to need this stuff, so it's literally like almost throwing stuff over his shoulder, kind of, but like mentally running. not physically, but he's like running through the digital inventory, literally reading off anything that kind of seems like it might be halfway robot adjacent.
I can't just get her an off-the-shelf shell, and she dresses better than that. Come on, I mean,
No, none of these are off the shelf. I mean, well,
they're on your shelf.
they're all custom built by some of the greatest brains that ever wanted to like kill people. Which may not be the best thing, but they or also some stuff my dad made. You know, no longer used.
I don't know. So I don't know that Jason really tracks the fact that you didn't really change your statement by saying also some stuff that my dad made.
Well, yeah. No, Jason would not track that.
Still, greatest minds that wanted to kill some people. It's just the right people.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you have a bunch of robots years. Jason, your dad is an evil gadgeteer too. He's just not under arrest. He's not wanted by the law. I don't trust him. Okay, I'll look.
Here's our inventory. You can figure out how to use the keyboard.
It's the tension's riding high. Meanwhile, Adam and Ghost Girl.
Okay.
Adam is literally figuratively 20,000 miles away from here.
He's
and possibly at 20,000 BC.
The thing that you are reminded of most, Charlotte, and again, you have the weirdest patches of flashes of memory and that kind of thing, but what you remember, they called this in World War I shell shocked. I don't know that they had a word for it in the Civil War, but that 1,000-yard stare of like a soldier that had been in battle and was now coming, like marching back through, and that the look where they look at you and they don't look at you. And you remember that. You remember, watching soldiers, troops marching past and looking at you, but not looking at you. And that is very disconcertingly the look on this young boy's face, where it flat out does not belong.
So I'm just going to start talking to him quietly about nothing in particular, just, trying to ground him. So, talking about the stupid couch in the room and talking to him about the,
Are we going to have a talk about a Yeti?
Outside. Get in the Yeti!
Oh my God. So you just slowly trying to bring him back into this present. Is there, Adam, is there a point at which you start hearing her?
Knowing Adam, he will at least what I think of Adam. He would she would probably, I don't know, like if she started talking about something and it's like, I don't even know what this is. Just something where she doesn't get the modern thing to it. He might just start being like, oh, that's a something or other. That's I don't know, that's from the 70s. My dad had one. It makes weird lights whenever it's turned on, but it takes a really long time to heat up.
Why?
I don't know. I think he called it lava lamp, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, I love the term here from the Civil War. It was sometimes called a soldier's heart or an irritable heart.
Yes, I just saw that.
Or also nostalgia.
Yeah.
Which I just...
Acute mania.
Camp disease.
Okay, so none of us playing the game. We're all looking up shell shock, Civil War, PTSD.
Moral turpitude.
Yeah, unfortunately, Doyce, you have started us on a bad trend here. So,
At least there's no cute animals.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
there's a link here to TV tropes about it. Let me...
No.
But yeah, so I think that might actually get him to like come out of this a little bit. Is she like, if I don't know, would Charlotte kind of play into the whole like in order to get him not to really think like to get his mind off of things, would she play up the I'm from the past, I don't know anything, tell me about these things?
I'm like, I'll start saying things like, well, you got the Jim Jams? What's going on here, dear? Bring in old words as well as misunderstanding new words to make him think.
Jim Jams? What's a Jim Jam?
It's like when you're not quite right.
Okay.
Sometimes when you need what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, I know. I know. Pony would say you need some me time.
And Adam's gonna be like, yeah, I think I need some me time.
Oh,
Me too. Do you have any idea really what's going on with him, or any idea really of like what's causing this with him, or?
Yeah, was Charlotte still up whenever Adam tried to do the big blast?
Yeah,
and it
she was
didn't
still
do
awake.
anything?
The blast not working, or the thing that knocked her cold was pretty close after that, although she was.
Okay.
Oh.
Dave, I'm sending you some text messages.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
All right.
I don't think that she would directly about it. I mean, for one thing, it would be impolite, and just you don't want to point out, problems. That's just not nice. Oh, she'll probably do her southern chatter until he starts looking like he's, more attention.
Are you trying
And,
to cheer him up, or just?
I'm just trying to ground him. So
Okay.
I'm trying to just, create a sense of normalcy as much as a ghost from the Civil War can create normalcy in the current age. So
What?
it's actually quite a Southern Belle talent, the talking about nothing.
Well,
Something I can do for hours if need be.
well, he's made of stars, so I mean, there's not a whole lot of normal going around here.
That's fair. That's entirely fair. I feel like there was something like
if not supporting, at least being like comforting, like bringing down
it's
something
it's definitely meant to be comforting. I just felt like there was a sort of a post-conflict commiseration victory kind of thing that also seemed like this might be some of that, but that's sort of angling things towards
the comforting. Yeah, definitely.
The comfort and support is definitely happening. I don't think that's any doubt, but there was also like her move for, it's one of the team moves that the outsider has of talking about.
Oh, right. Like, hang on.
How you're the best in the thing. But for right now, the comfort and support, which I'd love to see. We've seen her freak. I'd like to see her mundane.
Okay.
We get a lovely contrast here in these two things. And the freak was horrifyingly effective. Ooh.
I feel good about this.
Thank you.
Don't you worry, child. Just because your powers didn't work doesn't mean.
Now there is a possibility here. I don't know. It's a little tough because everybody's distracted. Harry could kind of come right in the rescue, but you need two to get you up out of a failed situation here. But
this might be better if
Pull
it
a team.
Say it again.
Well,
I said
no, sorry. Go ahead.
no. I mean, we haven't seen what a failed comfort and support looks like yet.
No,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you. It's like how many conditions do I have? Thank you.
I think we've seen it happen like 4 times now. What are you talking
I
about?
think we see failed comfort and support all the time.
Cut back to a long shot of compound suddenly dissolves in white cosmic fire.
I think we made it succeed once. That's
No, we've seen it succeed. No, there was actually I think the comfort and support. The last time you tried to comfort and support Concord, it was on the porch, remember? And then Mom interrupted, and
Oh yeah, I forgot all about
yeah.
that one.
yeah, as much man, Charlotte keeps trying, and it keeps not quite working with Adam, which is too bad because you guys have some of the nicest, just the most comforting scenes, and then they end up going.
It actually doesn't. Under comfort and support, it doesn't actually have a negative.
Well, there's always a negative for the sixes. It doesn't
Yeah.
spell them out. The sixes is just it just gets handed back to me and say, all right, roll out your hard moves, GM. It's time to hit the pavement.
Make somebody cry.
It doesn't
Yeah, thank you.
it doesn't necessarily have
It doesn't have implicit failures.
it doesn't have implicit failures, which is actually pretty common, honestly. Most of them don't have implicit stuff in the sixes. I think I need to loop back on that, but I
Just make us sit here for a second. We'll stew.
yeah. So, Dave, you're able to do that pretty easily. It's really a matter of hooking it up to a projector. The impetus personality is already present. It doesn't need to be modeled. You've got more than enough security footage, plus again the personality profile to work with already to do that. And somewhat annoyingly, the projectors are sort of everywhere in the complex. Because you get
Yes, I know.
virtual assistant in the med lab
Dad has been talking with me.
yeah, the
And he
virtual
follows me from room to room.
virtual assistants in the med lab area are actually super useful. So you can flip this on pretty much at will, but what do you say before you do that?
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to do it.
Okay. All right.
Because
You do it. I'm going to have you roll anyway because I want
yeah. So the same.
the same, yeah, still a mundane roll.
Yeah.
Oh, you get a +1. Oh, we're definitely going to loop back on that. Oh, okay. So, Leo, you're going through the computer and going through the thing, kind of keeping half an eye on Numa's screen and flipping through the inventory, going crap, junk, obsolete, deadly, horribly and stupidly still armed, ugly, spider-like, useless and spider-like, retro, broken, and
well, what is it with spiders and your families?
and you notice the screen. Numa on the screen says just a second, and the whole screen goes blank. It does like the old TV shutting off kind of flash.
Totally got a little green dot.
And yeah, exactly. And
Even though it's an LED.
And you hear behind you Numa say, "Leo, I'm over here."
I'll turn around.
Apparently, Jason relayed this through like a closed circuit back to one of the holo projectors. So he hasn't found her a body, but he's given her the ability to project internal image of herself into the whole thing, so you can interact with her directly and actually speak. So in the same way that Elder Dr. Quill was there, he's managed to put Numa there for you to actually see and talk to.
Jason, did you put my girl in the same thing as your creepy old man? Get her out of there before he does something.
No, I'm on a closed.
You know, it sounded a lot better when I was.
I'm in a completely self-contained loop in case there's a virus in the head. I'm not connected to Jason's father's avatar simulacrum.
Okay, because that would be correct.
Yes, that actually sounded exactly as creepy in my head as it did when I said it. With all due apologies, Jason. No, he just did this so you could actually talk to me and see my face. So
and Leo's gonna be like, he does this body language thing of like going for the hug and stops himself immediately.
Because you're gonna go right here.
And he's just like, damn it. All right. Okay.
I mean,
I'm here again.
Yeah. I mean, it would be the really awkward like hug from the new from the new Blade Runner.
It wasn't a freaking spider bot though. Oh my God.
So say thank you, Leo, to Jason who did this so we can actually talk.
Thank you, Jason.
So
Sure. I mean, no problem, man. Glad I could,
And they sort of phase back to the distance. Now, okay, so we're gonna, just so you know, that was Jason's role on a comfort and support by simply doing this for you. So his little 10 there in the roll. But do you I mean, aside from her kind of dragging a thank you Jason out, do you open up or do you just let it go where it is right now? Because probably not at all.
Like he's gonna do it. He's gritting his teeth because he knows he has to do it. That's what's grinding his gears right now.
So what is that? I mean, the thank you, obviously we know what that's, but what is that?
All right, so where is Adam at this point?
Adam is talking to Charlotte. I'm going to say that Harry's kind of over in that general orbit. I almost feel like maybe Jason is backing away and just sort of trying to get away so you two can talk.
Okay, I'm going to grab Jason by the scruff of the neck and drag him to that rest of the group. I'm going to give him and Adam and Harry a big hug. And Ghost Girl and Numa, both now intangible, can do with whatever they can. He's just going to be like, I can't process this right now, so I'm just going to do this.
Nice big. It's like Hunk from Voltron. Sometimes you just got to give a hug.
And is this enough to throw a little bit of team at Margie and Mike's conversation?
So I want to hear. So what I need to know, because there's definitely going to be some help here. So first of all, the 5 becomes a 6 because Charlotte has influence over Adam, right? So we're only 1 away, and it's absolutely enough to put team in there if you guys are okay with that. But I want to hear, before that gets sort of helped by this sudden and, one would almost say, violent show of affection from Bill, from Leo. I want to hear that awkward, like, I meant it well, but oh my God, it came out badly thing that Charlotte's kind of saying to, like, put a cherry on top of kind of bringing him back.
Oh yeah, sure.
I would totally like it if it was something about the powers, just so he could like still simmer on that quite a bit.
So like it's totally okay if you don't really have control over a lot of your powers yet. That kind of thing. Is that what you're saying? Is that kind of where you were thinking it was like the thing that just comes off completely backwards? Adam, is that what you were? I'm catching up, so I'm just trying to
Yeah, that was kind of that's kind of what I'm hoping for, but whatever Margie wants to go with.
Margie, what is it? What is that? What's Charlotte's thing here that is well intentioned, but because of the stuff that you don't know that's going on with Concord right now,
Well, it all starts off with my using an old phrase, and then trying to describe what that means and making it like really bad. So the phrase she used is just like, yeah, I know you weren't playing an old soldier, and Concord looks at me like what are you talking about? What do you mean? Well, it's like when you're you're trying to avoid going into battle, so you pretend like you're sick or can't can't do what you need to do. It's what I mean.
Oh, Margie, that's so good. Oh, I mean, because because by the time you finish explaining it, we've lost track of the fact that what you first said was, "I know you're not doing this."
Mhm.
And by the time you get through the explanation, all it is about you saying that's what that's what he's doing, or that's what it's sort of.
Pretending that he can't
Yes,
use his powers, as opposed to not being able to use his powers.
right. And I'm just saying, I know you're not doing that, except by the time he gets done explaining it.
I think that hopefully suits your desires to brood and give you something else to brood about.
Yeah.
Is this
No,
all?
I am perfect. I'm perfectly fine with that.
He says he wants to say I'm perfectly fine with it. At the same time, Mike's like, oh God, yeah, I'm perfectly. Yeah, that's fine. That's really good. That was hurt me again. I'm really grateful that you're using the riding crop so effectively. And so in my head, there's this like moment where Adam's mouth is literally working, like he doesn't even know exactly what to even say, and then the whole thing is just overwhelmed by, you hear Jason it's almost like Jason's Doppler effect as he's coming in going, ow, ow, are you happy, are you mad, I can't, ow. And suddenly everybody is simultaneously being hugged by Leo, while this is all going. Leo, do you say anything, or just does anybody else say anything? And then Leo says, "Shut up," and just.
No, I think Adam will be like, "This is really weird."
Joyce, can you do Mercury next, because
sorry, I haven't been saying anything because
need their sleep.
Okay, I didn't do anything because Catherine said she wanted to lurk and not talk, so I hadn't been ignoring Mercury.
So she's saying it's all good. So.
Okay, yeah, I didn't I hope that you guys understood that I was not ignoring Mercury. I was purposely going, I can't do Mercury tonight, so I'm just trying to.
That's what I was trying to say. If you were going to do something with
No, I wasn't.
Go down because she needs to go to bed.
Yes, rest your instrument. So, such that it is. I had this thing. Oh, okay. If you don't mind, I'm going to put words in Leo's mouth and finish the last scene with just one line, if this is okay, and I'm going to stop the scene right here. To be fair, I just want in my own defense, I do have a background screen that is the small town in Philadelphia that I fully intended to use tonight. We did not get to. But it's prepped for next time. So the hug happens, and Concord's like in there going, okay, this is weird. And the last thing you hear is Leo saying, you owe me French fries.
That's fair.
And just kind of muffled from inside of the hug.
That's totally legit.
Is that fair? Because I can't let that line go. I feel like that.
It's always the small things. For example, like one of the reasons Power Pony as a character is so memorable to me is not only like she showed up and just started making fun of the team's performance against Troll, and Jason Quill was just sitting there dealing with it. It's just his droll, tired out, thank you, citizen, at the end just was
This is weird. You owe me French fries. Comfort or support. This is back to Jason. When you comfort or support someone, roll mundane. On a hit, they hear you. They mark potential clear conditions, shift labels. If they open up to you, so you can choose either mark condition, mark potential clear condition. I didn't hit, Link. I haven't hit you with like a take a powerful blow, but I'm kind of saving that until you have like a better picture of what actually sort of happened. If that's is that okay? Is that cool?
That's totally fine. I have my suspicions, but we'll see how it happens.
Yeah. So you can mark potential clear condition or shift labels on a 10 plus, Jason. You can also add a team to the pool or clear a condition on yourself.
I have no conditions, so I guess I'm going to add to the team pool.
Clearly, you've been unconscious for a while, so we'll just.
Between being unconscious and nobody paying attention to me.
Being unconscious does great things for your condition track.
Apparently. Okay, so we'll just quickly go around since we're at the end of the night and hang on for a second. Just going to look at something real quick. Harry has no conditions. In the interest of the GM having great pity on the sore throat, I don't know if you guys saw the thing that happened with the doctor and my 4-year-old this week. I'm just going to give Harry potential and let him kind of have that for sore throat. Now my 4-year-old went in with a fever after throwing up, and they're like, "We'll check and see if it's strep," and they do the swab and say, "Okay, we'll call you within the next couple of hours to tell you whether or not it's strep." They never called, and they said we don't call, it's all good. So the next day, her fever is basically back. Her temperature is basically back to normal. We send her back to school. This is on Friday. They call back fucking Saturday and say, "Oh yeah, actually it is strep, and you have to get this medicine and have her take that, and she's not actually not going to be contagious until she's been taking it for 24 hours. So don't let her near anybody."
Hi.
Are you actually? Oh my God. And then they didn't really tell us early enough for us to actually get, because it was a Saturday, to actually get to the pharmacy before they all closed anyway on Saturday. So it wasn't until Sunday that we could actually even do it, and barely within the 24 hours before she could go back to school on Monday. Anyway, so yeah, in pity for Catherine's sore throat, have some potential. Meanwhile, Jason, more growing into yourself, growing closer to the team, away from the team. What do you think?
There was that.
I can see arguments for lots for.
Yeah, I could. I'm going to grow into my own image of myself as kind of, taking the lead, taking actions, doing stuff, being kind of, that guy who makes things happen.
And rather, I'm gonna somewhat heroically, somewhat self-sacrificially sidelining your own stuff in the interest of what the team immediately needs.
Yeah,
we really need to get to Philadelphia.
Although if we get into this debate about whether Philadelphia or where the hell,
Numa,
or Japan, that might change. But,
she was never gone long. There was no way she got to Japan. She was in no way, shape, or form out.
So Halcyon International Airport.
Yeah, she was like 3 hours. Well, more like she might have been in the air, but she definitely wasn't. And you could, that's all like, pulling up airline itinerary and stuff like this. So you can shift your labels, one label up, one label down based on that, which makes perfect sense to me. Leo.
Well, as usual, I regret saying it, but I grew closer to the team, particularly Jason Quill.
Oh. Which is what happened last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I already have influence.
Oh my God. So, all right.
He keeps coming through to me despite my best efforts.
Right. Okay. So, you already have influence, so you can shift You can choose a label to shift up on Leo and a label to shift down.
He's particularly emotionally vulnerable right now, so go to town.
Yep. Shift
Okay,
at will
let me
and see what you think, and just put it in text chat. It's probably the easiest way to track it is just put it in
Yep.
text. Ghost Girl, more into your own image of yourself, away from the team, or closer to the team? I mean, you had that little thing at your flashback that we got to see where you're kind of on your own and away from the team. The vision of your own stuff.
Then there's like all the stuff. It's sort of like but then the other is sort of like all of this going on at Jason's. I mean, so like it's becoming a real place, and we're comfortable here, and she's comfortable here, and it's sort of that.
I'm really curious about what Charlotte's impression. She's seeing her living home, and then when she wakes up from that, she's in Jason's place again, and what that juxtaposition of that feels like for her, whether it's more jarring or whether it feels like another home, not really a home. That would really probably be a different part of the city, but certainly a friendly space, isn't it? Or isn't it? Or is that what you're saying?
No, that's what I was just trying to say. Is it's as much as we joke about the conversation pit and all of this, that the idea is that Jason's place is really becoming the clubhouse. This is where we all go to connect to each other, to help each other, to
I like it. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I like it.
Stare at the Yeti, whatever it is. So I think that the fact that all of this, all of this session was, essentially at Jason's in the conversation pit in a way, means that it's sort of more of a closer to the team as a team, not as individuals, but
Okay.
one.
That's so good. I'm sorry, I just saw Bill's little gift there of "Let me love you." So funny.
So I think
so closer to the team and influence to Jason. All right. And if you're going closer to the team, then you can also clear a condition or mark potential.
I think we know what we're doing.
And Link, you can clear a condition or mark potential too, I think.
I did.
Yeah, okay. And finally, Adam. Concord.
Yes.
I didn't.
No, I now have influence, right? I did not have influence over you earlier, so now I do.
Now so there's no label shifting. Are you actually getting influence over people finally?
I actually have influence over everyone else now.
Wow. I didn't think that.
Know.
I had like folding money against that. Anyway.
Got it. So go further away from the team.
Go further away from the team.
Jason's the one who did it. Got it.
No, I'm just kidding. All right. So Adam, what do you think?
Well, the grow closer to the team would have happened at the very end. I don't think that really encompasses everything that happened in the session.
Sure, for you, for sure.
So I think in this one, he's growing into the image of himself, but it's definitely not the image he wants to be of himself.
Ooh, especially after that lovely talking to from Ghost Girl.
Yes. So I think we're going to drop the savior down, and we're going to raise up the mundane.
Okay. All right.
Because he does not feel like a superhero at the moment.
That's great. He doesn't know. He probably hasn't encountered the phrase imposter syndrome yet, but he's rocking some imposter syndrome right now. Love it. Love it. Good stuff. Okay, I think that's everybody. It's funny because I think about this game like all the time, but my prep for this is so minimal because I almost feel like I'm just gonna get in my own way. I take a couple of like clocks and make a few notes and think about what various guys might do if various stuff happens, but Yeah.
Well, that's powered by the apocalypse. There, you basically your prep is okay.
Think about what everybody's
Here,
doing. Yeah.
no, it's like here's some cool stuff. Maybe I'll use it.
It's some of that and me kind of going, okay, based on what happened last time, what's the fallout of the various NPCs?
Yeah, it's like it's literally pay attention to the background. That's about it.
What do you think is going to happen the next 5 minutes?
It's
That's all you get.
It's almost exactly how I used to like prep for Amber, which I hate to draw that comparison
Ooh.
again, but it's
Actually no. There is one little bit of prep you can do. Think of a good opening scene.
Oh
like,
yeah.
At least the framing of it.
Yeah, exactly. And after that, it all just kind of rolls. I love it. I love this stuff. But honestly, some of the stuff that comes up, I know I wish I had thought of it ahead of time, but the stuff that just comes out in these various scenes, like the juggling of the cars, or even just the frickin' zero-G thing that turned it into that Spider-Man moment of rescuing everything. It was just this shit just happens. I love it. All right.
Well,
anyway, I love it. It's good space to be on, headspace wise. All right, next time, Pennsylvania, or possibly Japan, or possibly someplace else. Who knows? I might hard frame us in, just to actually get us someplace. I might hard frame us into someplace, just to figure out, just to advance.
You want us to get out of the conversation pit? That's not fun.
Hey, I think Jason should turn the conversation pit into a giant hover disk.
No, and you could just take it wherever.
With the bumper edges?
The flying
I mean,
couch.
that's the control lever there is what that thing is.
Oh.
It's the joystick.
I just want to say real briefly, I ran a game where an NPC got possessed by like alien technology and could build stuff. He had a junkyard. He built a UFO the size of a city block, and in the center was an RV, and he drove the RV to operate the UFO. And so I looked at this picture. I'm just like, you have to take this on the road.
Yeah, this whole thing just needs to fly. That's fantastic. I love it.
Which makes me think vaguely of the Incredibles and the
Yes.
RV.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so funny.
I haven't watched that in forever.
I don't know if you guys saw my thing that I mentioned on Google Plus, but just parenthetical to masks. I don't even exactly. You know what I was looking at? I was looking on my Kindle, and I've got this book called Not Your Sidekick, which is like a YA novel about like somebody in a family of superheroes who does not get superpowers and decides to take a unpaid internship with the local supervillain. And which is fine. That book is great, but it recommended to me a different book saying if people who read this have also enjoyed this. And there's this book called Dreadnought. Book 1 is called Dreadnought Nemesis, and it's about a kid who basically witnesses sort of Superman die in front of him. And as they're dying, it basically takes the power out of their chest and says, I'm sorry about this. You have no idea how sorry I am, but the world needs Dreadnought, and puts the power into the kid. And one of the aspects of getting this power is that it sort of reforms you into your perfect self. And this particular kid happens to be trans and living very deeply closeted thanks to a horrible parent, and transitions immediately into a girl. And so is the first girl Dreadnought, and is on security camera footage. And the superhero team that Dreadnought was part of is depending on the person in the team that you're talking to, is alternately angry or horrified or surprised or supportive or whatever. But it's a really great like kid trans novel, and at the same time getting that little extra push of, I am actually invulnerable, so it's not like you can actually make me do anything. Kind of stuff. It's quite well written. It is a Masks solo game right down to the ground. Because it's all these adults saying, this is who you are, this is who you're going to be. And it's really, and it added on this other thing with a bunch of people saying, you're not a girl, you're a boy, dad trying to convince the person that has now invulnerable skin that they're going to take testosterone shots for the rest of their life, when they do not want to. All this other kind of stuff. So it's if you're in the mood, if you're on the hunt for a book, I picked it up on Kindle for, I don't know, $6, and for an extra $1.50 got the Audible, just the Audible of the book, the audiobook tacked on for the extra $1.50 or whatever like that, and the audiobook's quite good too. So
Yeah, I saw your review of it.
I mean, it wasn't much of a review. It's just at that point in time,
I saw your mention of it.
it is. There are times when it's painful. Like my daughter got into the car after I dropped her off. She knows I've been telling her about it a little bit, but we're listening to a different book right now, so I didn't jump her in with this one. And she knows I've been listening to it. She got back in after swimming today, and she's like, "How's the book?" I'm like, "It's fine. It's good." Really? Because you look super pissed right now. I'm like, well, people are really terrible. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, whether or not this author has the background to write this, they are very realistically writing the supremely unhelpful people in this person's life. Be it the former best friend who is now ogling the now girl, and the dad and the mom and the teachers who are like, you showed up as a girl, and I'm sorry, we can't just have you show up as a girl without a letter from your a note from your parents explaining what's going on. The superhero team who's like doing all this stuff, and it's just really good. But at the same time, oh my God, I want to punch everybody in this book. So it's a fine book. There's my recommendation. Anyway, all right, that was even kind of Masks adjacent. Look at that.